Oh, one more thing, Julia. I would like to look into the history of a patient called Bertrand.
Bertrand. That does ring a bell. Sorry, I'm not really sure about other patients at the Institute. I know there's a few, namely Leonard, but perhaps Dr. Miller knows more.
Are you aware of any previous construction work on the building? You know, before the upcoming renovations.
Yes, I do remember hearing about efforts to turn the Kirkbride layout into a modernized configuration of smaller buildings. Unity...
I'm not sure we're in Unity.
Unit. That's it. The unit system.
Interesting. And I guess those construction plans were never finalized?
Well, I guess not. They were strange days, the place was falling apart, budget issues too.
I see. Thank you. I don't think we have anything else to discuss.
Thank you for being...
So, there might be some information I can recover on the second floor.
I told you to stay away from the upper floors.
That's right. My bad.
Don't make me call Bruno.
See you later, Julia. I interrupting something?
Who are you?
I'm a former member of the Institute. I came here tonight to look into some docket.
Well, this is highly irregular. Did Julia let you in? I'll need to have a word with her. As you can see, the building is not in a condition for you to go anywhere you please.
Oh, but I'm only going to the allowed areas.
This area is not allowed.
Sorry, my mistake. But would you mind if I asked you some questions?
I was in the middle of something important, but go ahead.
I assume you are...
I'm the new director of the Institute, Dr. Ambrose Miller. My purpose here is to honor the vision of my former colleague, Dr. Walter Hanwell.
Pleased to meet you. I'm looking for information on a patient called Bertrand.
Bertrand. He's one from the old group, right?
I believe so. I've seen footage of him in the therapy room.
Footage? Intriguing. I'll have to take a look at that. But yes, of course he sounds familiar. He's here tonight.
What do you mean, here? Physically?
Physically? What are you, a ghost hunter? Of course in flesh and blood. He's one of the patients being relocated.
This is an incredible development. Where can I see him?
I don't have such details. All I know is that he's in the same cell where he used to be.
You mentioned that Bertrand is back in the Institute?
Yes, the same cell as before.
Do you know anything about the construction below?
I'm aware of renovation plans that didn't come to fruition. The structure of the building was typical Kirkbride, since its inception, a style which became dated over time. Mind you, this was true of all mental hospitals of this area. All Kirkbride establishments were forced to change or perish.
Why this whole fascination with the Kirkbride architecture?
You could say that Walter was a romantic, too attached to the old ways. He erected this building quite late in his lifetime, when the Kirkbride design was already beginning to exhibit its flaws, and he paid a price for it.
What I don't understand is the purpose of digging in the basement.
It makes perfect sense. That's typically how the migration of the so-called unit system worked. Underground tunnels.
What condition would you say can lead to chronic hallucinations?
In my experience, extreme stress. For example, panic attacks. Abuse of illegal drugs and other substances too. But most likely it would be something related to the brain, a physical problem, such as an imbalance of neurotransmitters. Schizophrenia can cause hallucinations as well.
Thank you for the thorough explanation. I'm curious about something. When it comes to hallucinations...
You seem to be particularly interested in this topic.
It's for my research.
Well, go on then.
What would be a solution? For them, I mean, to stop the hallucinations.
That's one broad question. For starters, drugs which counterbalance the improper chemistry between serotonin, dopamine, and glutamate in the brain. And that doesn't work all the time. If it's something more serious, like a brain tumor.
What?
Extirpation. But it's extremely risky. Even if the surgery is successful, the patient is at risk of dying, or facing crippling side effects.
What if I told you I have a strange urge to look for candles?
I would say you have a keen sense of adventure. Have you looked in the attic yet?
Not yet.
If you can't find some candles there, I'll eat my hat.
You'll eat your whole closet. There's one more.
Please, enough chatter. I have...
Why did Hanwell shut down all of a sudden? Just one more thing. Would you say it's possible that, amid all the chaos, patients were wrongfully discharged?
I know patients were relocated from one institute to the other, as is the current case for our reopening.
Yet it's possible.
Yes, of course, it's very possible. The glorious Hanwell Institute may have let loose dangerous lunatics in the streets amid a media circus. Satisfied now?
Sure. Let's drop the subject. Are you familiar with the term Group E?
Yes, that's a therapy thing. Patients were organized into small groups and encouraged to discuss their fears and problems in confidence. In a more controlled environment, they were treated by, what was her name?
Dr. Ebersbaker? I'm wondering how a network of underground tunnels is so attached to the concept of a unit system.
To begin with, the unit system is a term that didn't catch on. It was meant to convey the notion of units of buildings, concerned with a single aspect for the everyday operation of a mental institute. One building for administrative offices, another for surgical interventions, then male and female infirmaries separated, and so on. The hospital border in Buenos Aires is a good example of such a system of buildings.
Does the name Crawford ring a bell?
Not in the least.
Thank you for your time, Dr. Miller. Lenny, I've been in the basement. You were right.
Really?
Yes, I was there before. And you too. I had this memory. We were working together in some kind of construction project. What were we doing down there?
I don't recall. Everything is so fuzzy.
Lenny, you have to make an effort. This is important for our sakes.
I don't want to, please. I don't want to remember. It hurts.
Okay, don't worry, Lenny. Let's try something else. I've learned that Bertrand, a former patient of the Institute like you and me, is here, and I'm gonna pay him a visit.
I hope he's all right.
I hope so too, Lenny. We both need answers. My vision in the basement was the first time I felt like I was witnessing something relevant. You know, with a meaning. A moment that actually happened. Is there anything else you can tell me?
No,
Nothing else
I don't want to think of...
It's incredible, but Bertrand, another patient from that time, like you and me, is here too. Don't you feel like this is all a strange coincidence?
I couldn't say. We all belong here. It's not a surprise to me.
Is there anything else you can tell me about this?
No, I'm sorry.
Nothing else
I don't want to think...
Did you ever meet the former director of the Institute, Walter Hanwell?
I'm not sure. I saw many people walking around in the Institute in the past, but no one ever told me who Hanwell was.
Look at this crayon.
Oh, yes. Is that from the game room? We used to draw so much.
See you around, Lenny. Hi again.
Hi.
Nothing else comes to mind.
I don't want to...
Nice talking to you, Lenny.